Aloha, hi, I'm Angela Flynn, and I decided to come on here to Community Camera to share some information that I have. I'm new to the island, just moved here on the first of the year, and I've been working on an issue that is probably a little controversial to a lot of people. It's about all of the electric, magnetic, and the wireless radiation that we're exposed to from electricity and our communications devices. I got involved in this issue because I was living in a house next to a cell tower, found out I just could not sleep, had a terrible time, 4 hours a night, maximum sleep, memory problems, all kinds of things. And so I finally moved away and recovered my health. But in the meantime, I started looking into this, and I found out that there's thousands of studies out there that document biological effects happening to these fields. And again, it's from our electricity and from all of our wireless devices like our smartphones and Wi-Fi. And so people are having problems that aren't really being acknowledged, and therefore they're not able to get help for it. And so I'm trying to kind of bring awareness to the issue so people understand more what's going on with it. We have guidelines for exposure, and they're based on what's called a thermal effect. So we all know microwave oven heats food. Well, we use microwaves for all of our wireless communications. It also can heat our bodies. So we have guidelines that are set that basically estimates. They say, okay, well, we think, because they use models, they don't test on real human beings, they use models and they say, well, we think that a human brain will dissipate heat fast enough at this level of microwave exposure. So when you're holding that phone up to your head, it's getting heated, but the idea is that that heat's getting dissipated and it's not going to cause any problems to you. So there's a lot of evidence that there's effects that happen at levels much, much lower. The FCC, which is the Federal Communications Commission, they have guidelines that are set at 1,000 microwatts per centimeter square. So that's a power density unit. It's basically how much energy is going into your body. And then you have other countries, China, Russia, Italy, Switzerland, and Morocco. They actually have a limit that they've set at 10 microwatts per centimeter squared. So you have the United States at 1,000. You have these other countries that have set a limit much, much lower at 10. And then you get this report put together by independent scientists, the BioInitiative report. The BioInitiative report recommends that we keep exposures at 0.1 microwatts per centimeter squared. So that's a vast difference between what the FCC is telling us is safe and what independent researchers are saying, no, 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 that's not safe at all. A lot of the controversy has to do with this thermal effect, and I really don't appreciate the whole idea of this thermal effect because there's really no evidence that our bodies do dissipate heat that quickly. And in fact, you can get like hot spots because our chemistry is very different. You know, we're not just a gel-filled sack that they're testing. So in your brain, you can have hot spots that happen, and people are getting brain tumors from exposure. I mean, it's pretty well documented. The IARC, which is the International Agency for Research on Cancer, classified microwaves, which is the type of energy emitted by all of our wireless devices, as a class 2B carcinogen. And they did this because of the evidence that's accumulating that there's a correlation between brain tumors and people who have used cell phones for over 10 years, and they get brain tumors on the same side of the head that they had the phone. And people also are getting parotid tumors, which are salivary gland tumors, and acoustic neuromas, which are in our ear canal. So it's really not a good thing to be doing, you know, exposing ourselves to these high levels. And in fact, if you were to read your user manual to your cell phone, it says, do not hold it to your head, do not wear it on your body. Pretty much all wireless devices say that. Unfortunately, the companies bury this information deep inside the manual. Sometimes you even have to go to an online link to read this information. My guess is that they're putting that information in there to protect themselves, so you can't sue them if you do end up getting the tumor. I really don't think they're doing it to protect we, the consumer. If they were doing it to protect the consumer, they would actually put it up front and center. San Francisco, the council there passed legislation to put labels on phones, warnings, little, stickers on phones saying do not hold this to your head or wear on your body. The CTIA, which is the Wireless Industry Lobby Group, sued, and they've stopped them from enforcing this legislation. So it's really disturbing, and the new phones today are even worse than the older phones because the new phones have 5 transmitters in them. You have the Wi-Fi transmitter, you have the cell phone transmitter, you have the Bluetooth transmitter, you have the GPS transmitter. That's 4. There's one more that I can't think of right now. Anyway, I don't use them because I've learned that I do really well if I avoid getting around all these exposures. As I said before, I don't sleep well if I get around it. Other people get headaches. There's been studies showing that, again, it's carcinogenic, this exposure. It alters our DNA, and it's not so much that it, ionizing radiation is a higher energy. That's what we have, like gamma radiation and all the nuclear power plants. So this is lower level electromagnetic radiation, but what it appears to do from these tests that have been happening is that it interferes with our DNA recombining. So when we sleep at night, that's when we heal our body. So if our DNA is having troubles recombining, we're going to have more likely to have mutations and cancers develop. It also opens our blood-brain barrier, and the blood-brain barrier is very important because it keeps toxins out of our brain. So when the blood-brain barrier gets opened, we end up having toxins getting into our brains and other things that can accumulate there and lead to problems. There is a lot of researchers in the field of autism who are starting to feel that this exposure may have something to do with autism. There's a sense that maybe some people don't detox heavy metals very well, and then these get into the brain and they accumulate in the brain and start causing all these problems. So one of the things I wanted to share here is I actually have some meters that I can measure these fields. This one here is a microwave radiation meter. It does from 10 megahertz all the way up to 8 gigahertz. So it covers a broad spectrum. It doesn't single out a frequency, but it gives me a good sense of what's going on. And if you bring it up close to a transmitter on a phone or on a Wi-Fi router or other devices, you'll get a sense of what that actual transmitter is putting out. And then this one here is a tri-field meter. They're pretty standard meters, and they measure electric and magnetic fields coming off of our 60 hertz wiring in our homes. And these fields are all related. Basically, electricity is electric and magnetic fields traveling on the wires, and they can emanate off. If you have a wiring problem, you can have high magnetic fields, or if you're near appliances that are running a heavy load, they also will have high magnetic fields, so you want to keep your distance to those. And so then when you get into the electromagnetic radiation, basically the electric field and the magnetic field are coupled together and they propagate out into space. So as you can see, it's really the same type of energy, but just the issue with all of our wireless is it's not kind of contained to a very specific area. This meter here is called a Stetzer meter, and it measures what's called dirty electricity. So what happens is with dirty electricity is we get these transients on the wiring from a lot of our devices these days. And they can also radiate out and cause health problems. So as you probably saw, I have some websites here. I have emfwise.com. That's a great website. They've done a great job of laying things out. Here's the bioinitiative.org website. It's really worth finding out what these independent researchers have found. We also have my contact. I'm Angela Flynn. You can call me, 822-3982. My email is greenevolutionusa.com. And then I also have planetoasis.org, which is a group that's been working here on Kauai for a while on this issue. And I just want to mention one last kind of thing here is, smart meters have been coming onto people's homes. They also are an issue because they emit all this wireless radiation. You can get KIUC to change you back to an analog meter. It's very important if your smart meter is close to a bedroom, especially, and maybe if your neighbor's smart meter is close to your bedroom. And again, you want to keep all the stuff out of your bedroom. Keep wireless off when you're not using it. Better yet, go back to wired connections. It really can make a big difference in your health. A lot of people kind of get a subtle stress reaction from this and they don't realize what's happening. So it would be very helpful for all of us, if we kind of took a step back here and started to minimize our exposure. We don't have to do away with all this technology. It's great stuff. I personally, love being on the internet. I get on it all the time. You might not be able to tell from my signs, but I don't have a good printer. Anyway, I love the internet. I love all the information and the connection that we get from all this, but keeping, don't put any wireless devices on your body, on your lap, next to your head. Keep your distance. Keep them off. You can put your phone in airplane mode that turns off all the transmitters. Really helpful. That way you don't have to worry about it at all. You can do that when you're recharging it overnight, so you don't have, the microwave exposure happening in your bedroom. So yeah, I hope that, some of you will look into this a little bit, and especially if you might be having some health problems and you're not really sure what's going on. It interferes with our thyroid function. I mean, so many things are going on. I mean, I put on probably 20 pounds when I was living next to that cell tower and couldn't sleep. And I'm a very healthy person, get around riding my bike. I'm not someone who, has my health fail like that typically. So I was very glad to figure out what was going on for me and to minimize my exposure. I don't use any wireless at my house. And I also have been known to turn off circuit breakers at night. It's really nice. Gives you a very clean electric environment so you don't have these high fields around you. So thank you. Appreciate your time.